So hello everyone. I will do this presentation in English, but if there are some moments where it's unclear, please do not hesitate to stop me. So today we are going to talk about description, image description. And the idea is that we got over, well, nearly 10K images uploaded as part of Wiki Loves Africa session, and that's about the same amount every year. So people have lots of motivation to upload images, but much less motivation sometimes to bring the right description. So I wanted to give a special training today about description. And we're going to talk a little bit about the different, what first do we mean by description? Description. The three main topics we will address today are the following. First, what do we mean by image description? The second part we will go into is why does it matter that we have good description? Why should we care? And of course, naturally, the third one will be how to do it. I will not go into detail in every tactics that we can follow. I will give you some insight, quick insight on some of them, more details on others, and go more in depth with other techniques that we are using. Cutting sound. So let's go first to talk about what do I mean by image description. On every single of my slide, you may see a little 101. So 101 is a reference to something being used in the United States. That's really the first course when you start university. That's the first year, first course. So that's the beginning. So it's more meant to say, this is the basics. This is the things that every single person normally should be able to understand, whether they are advanced editors on Wikimedia Commons, advanced participants to the contest, or whether they are brand new. So normally 101 is for everyone. There will be other slides where I will put a little advanced message. So if you're brand new and you do not understand what I'm talking about when I'm on an advanced slide, do not be scared. That's fine. You can survive this. Just let your mind wander for a couple of minutes till I go back to the simple ones. I will get into the specific about the advanced part compared to the simple part. So the first thing is, what do I mean by image description? And that's very simple. Essentially, I talk about the title of the file. So the title of the image that somebody uploaded. I must clarify that I will always use the word image, but of course I mean media in reality. So image here is image. It can be audio, it can be video, or it can be graphic. That's fine. I just use the word image as a mean of simplifying my message, but that means every type of things that you upload to Wikimedia Commons. So the first element by description, I mean the title. The second is the caption, which is a small, short description. There's also a longer description. We also talk about structured data, so elements that we also call, in general, depicts on the interface. Then there are the categories, and then there's a vast big world of templates. And I will go a little bit more detail in what I mean by this. So my red link in this whole presentation is this green tractor. That's a picture that was taken as part of this year contest. And I will use this tractor as an example of what I am saying. So to go very quickly, the tractor here, the title is a faulty tractor in a mechanical workshop for repair. This is what I would call a good title. That's descriptive, that we get a sense of what it is saying. The second element you might see here at the top of my screen are the categories. In this case, you will notice that there are two types of categories. Because I'm logged in, I see all the public as well as the hidden category. If I'm not logged in, I do not see the hidden categories, which are usually categories for maintenance. And in the case of Wiki Loves Africa, are very important because they typically contain the fact that it's part of Wiki Loves Africa, but also in a certain country. It also mentions how it was uploaded, the license, sometimes the material that was being used, the photographic material to do that. So those are the hidden category. And then there are the public category, which in this case are John Deere tractors, diesel engine, tractor tires, and workshop. So this is a well-described typical image. If you look below, other elements that are typically meant when we talk about description is what we call caption, which are short description of what is being visible on the image, as well as a longer description. In most cases, when people upload, they don't bother, they just do a copy paste or they duplicate. So in most cases, it's exactly the same, but normally the long description should go into way more details. Sometimes this caption and description may be in different languages. Why do I see in my case English, Dutch, French, and Italiano? It's because I have some understanding of these 4 languages. Therefore, I indicated in my preferences that I wanted to see by default these 4 languages. So do remember to put the ones you are the most interested into so that you see the default languages that you understand. And then further below, in this very generic area, you will see templates of many different types. Here, in this case, the template that appears simply says is an informative template to say this image belongs to Wiki Loves Africa. It was uploaded as part of the contest. But you may see many different types of templates, and this is part of the description. And basically, that's it. So all these elements that I mentioned, that's the title, the description, the short description, long description, categories. I forgot the depict and templates are part of what I mean by description. The depicts may be found here. You have here the small caption, and when you click here, you have what we call the depicts. Depicts is something that will typically describe what we see on the picture. Depicts are something you need to be aware is highly contentious because there is a disagreement on what it should be about. So typically you might think that the depict associated to this image is tractor, right? That would make sense. And for some people, that's fine, it's tractor. But most people would argue, and we will go further in that example a bit later, but most people would argue that we need to go into the level of precision as much as we can. So in this case, this is not so much a tractor, this is a John Deere tractor. And if you look at the picture, you might even see there is a brand here, the model of the tractor, which is 5503. So the right depict might normally be John Deere tractor 5503. So this is what we mean normally by description. Now let's go into a little bit into what might be a good description and what might not be a good description. I picked up another example just to show you what typically might be in terms of template. So this is a picture completely unrelated to Wiki Loves Africa, but it includes at the bottom here in the template area, it also typically include a first template, which means this image was created with the support of Wikimedia France. And there's also another template added here, which says this media was produced using Pack-Ladjet, lent by Wikimedia France. In case you wonder what Pack-Ladjet might be, if you click on it, that was something, this picture is rather old. And at that time, Wikimedia France was providing a sort of a pack for photographers where they were in the field, where they would get a backpack, they would get some photographic material, some SD disk, some battery. So this was made into a big pack and was being lent to this photographer. So when this person uploaded the images, he also added some templates to mention that this was done with the support of Wikimedia France and that this was done with a certain resource pack lent by Wikimedia France. So this is a second type of example of which template might get into an image description. When do things if those are the basic, if I want to go a little bit more into the advanced part of what is description, I took you just a few examples. Additional elements of description to put in an image might include, so the template we just saw, work supported by a user group, is an interesting element to put in your image when you do the upload. The one we just saw immediately was the work done with a certain type of material, might be interesting as well. There might also include, for example, a template that says this image was created using artificial intelligence. So it's part of the description to just not pretend that we are the author of the image, but that the image was created with a prompt, which was done in this case. Sometimes it's mentioned, here it's not mentioned. Sometimes we even mention which engine was being used to do that. So that's another example of what could be added in the description. We also have sometimes, and I mention it because we are part of a photographic contest, sometimes we also have templates being added to say that the image was produced by a certain photographer. So this is an example of a rather old picture, which was uploaded by a photographer called Claude Truong-Ngoc. And he created a template to present himself. So every image uploaded by this person does include that element of description about himself. Just above, you may even see as well another type of template that can be adding to the information. It's that the object is indexed in a special database or related to patrimony. So all those elements are additional elements. And there's a last one, which I think is pretty important as well, I want to mention, is sometimes you want to add also information about the fact that it's a real human being on the picture, and that this person the picture is under a free license, but it may be covered by personality rights. It's here. Below. Here. So there is a template saying this represents a real person. She gave the right to have the picture taken and posted on Wikimedia Commons. But if you reuse that picture, be careful to reuse it in a situation where it might not be offending to her. Otherwise, she might actually complain. So this is to show you that image description, for sure, when we talk about image description, we have the title, the short description, long description, depict, and so on. But we also have a collection of elements that could be added to the description. When we have said that, why does it matter? Again, when most people upload pictures, they do not really bother. They upload quickly. They do not spend too much time thinking about that. Sometimes they put a good title, sometimes they don't bother. Sometimes they put a minimal caption because it's mandatory, but nothing more than that. They do not bother about template. They do not really put any category. So why does it matter, and why should we think about that each time we upload an image? For me, there are essentially 4 reasons, and I will go into these 4 reasons. The number one reason is simply to make reuse of the picture easier. And when I say easier, reuse on Wikipedia, because that would be awesome that the picture is being used on a Wikipedia article, but also by anyone else. Let's say if a newspaper, a media, New York Times want to reuse one of your pictures to illustrate one of their articles, that's pretty cool. That's very pleasant. But you want them to be able to find that image. So that's how can you help to make it easier? I already show you the mechanical workshop, but I can show you 2 other examples that are actually pretty bad. Removing these ones. So let's pick up 2 real examples from this contest. A smile from the heart. This is a really nice picture, in fact, of a couple near a river. We know that it's in Egypt because it was uploaded by someone in Egypt. but we know nothing else than that. The title is just, yeah, creative. It's not helping. There are 0 categories, the real public categories. So we don't even know what is this river? What is that tree? Who are these people? We know nothing about them. When we look at the category, lovely Egyptian couple working together in their field is the description. Okay, it's not helping very much. The long description is exactly the same thing. If I look at structured data, there is nothing specific mentioned here. So how likely is it that this picture will be reused in a Wikipedia article? I think none. It's a very nice picture. Maybe it could be used in the article about Smile. By chances, there is a lot of competition and chances that many people are actually already using pictures in this Smile article. Maybe it could be about the dress, if we knew what type of a dress it is. But what are the chances it will be used in a Wikipedia article? For me, next to 0. Is there a chance that this picture is being reused in a New York Times article? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe it might be. They might be hesitant because those are real people and they might be scared by personality rights. But they might reuse it. Maybe that could work, but not so great. This example is another example that I thought was very interesting. So those are vegetables. That's about all we know. And we know those are vegetables growing in Togo. That's it. So we have a title. This is vegetable growing. That means vegetable growing. And I choose that picture precisely because that's the picture 48. That means there are 47 similar pictures with the same name, basically the same picture. And they are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 48. But we have no idea where that is, what season it might be, and mostly what vegetable it is. We don't know. It's not in the description. This means vegetable growing. Long description is the same. Nothing in the structured data. So what are we going to do with that image? How likely that is it that this image will be reused by Wikipedia? None. What are the chances that this image will be reused by the New York Times article? None. Is that really useful? I don't think it is, unfortunately. So if we look for this first interest, reusing, in this case, that's a fail. But there might be other reasons why we want to have a good description. Here's a second one. Oh, just to give an example, a quick reminder of what I mean. The picture about the tractor, it's easy to reuse in a Wikipedia article because there is a good title, good description. We see things on the picture and there's enough to credit the author. So fairly good. If we do it with the image of the couple, not easy because not a descriptive title, not clear content, and unsure about the individual. And if we consider the image about the vegetables, there's not much, right? So all of this means it's not easy to reuse. The second reason why we want a good description is because we want this picture to be findable. So either findable using the media search, which is the search system on Commons, or elsewhere, like on Google. If somebody is looking for a picture of something specific on Google, how likely are they to find it? I picked up this example of a picture because if we want something to be findable, essentially we will rely on keywords, tags that are understandable, catchable by the system, either in the title, the caption, the description. Always keeping in mind multilingualism. I took the example of this picture, also taken this year in Egypt as part of Wiki Loves Africa 24-25. It's a very nice picture. I think those are dates, I think. And the reason why I'm not sure is because the title is in Arabic. I don't speak Arabic. Somebody actually, since yesterday, added dates in Egypt. So now I'm sure it's dates. There's no description in English, French, Italiano, or German. There's one in Arabic. I don't speak Arabic. And that's it. Now, if I go on Google and I look for dates in Egypt, how likely will it be that I find this picture? I'm not sure there's a lot of chance. What could have been helpful is that at least if the description was in more than one language. What could be also useful is to have more categories. But if there is just a minimum, in particular local language, the chances that me, French, in France, find an image in Arabic produced in Egypt is unfortunately very limited. So if you want the content to have visibility, you need to make sure that the search engine managed to find the info. So they need to have the right info. So reason number 2 to have good description, to make them findable. There are 2 more reasons. Promote what you do. Promote your initiative. Promote yourself sometimes. So typically, how do we do that? Well, for example, if we want to promote the Wiki Loves Africa initiative, we use the template Wiki Loves Africa in the description so that anyone visiting that image in the future, they will find this. But if you're a photographer, a professional photographer, you could also have a template about yourself, promoting yourself, so that people enjoying that a very nice, high quality featured picture, they will know more about you and they will be able maybe to go to your website. So the third reason to good description is simply to promote what's happening. And there's a fourth reason. It's when you're part of a group, to track your impact, to be able to afterwards track contribution as part of your group, so that you can say, hey, I got a rapid grant from Wikimedia Foundation. And oh, you know what? I live in Nigeria. There are at least 10 groups producing pictures in Nigeria. I'm absolutely unable to say how many we produced. Versus, I set up a category about my group, and then people can see that all the pictures in that category are from my group. That's pretty cool. So that's the fourth reason to provide a good description, which in this case is probably by categories, might be the best options. So again, make it good description to make them usable, reusable, to make them findable, to promote yourself, your initiative, your group, and fourth, to be able to track better what you're doing and be able to talk about it afterwards. Those are the 4 main reasons. All right. So now how can we make them shine? I divided that in 3 periods. There is before the upload, what can you do to improve the situation, anticipate at the time of the upload, and maybe after the upload, maybe the following week, the following months, or maybe even the following year. What can you do to do that? And there are 3 levels of activity, I would say. There is what you can do at the individual level, usually as an uploader. What can you do as part of your group, within your group? And what can you do to help a global initiative? For me, those are the 3 scales we can have. I'm just checking because there are comments. It means récolte des dates. Yeah, Afek. The dates, yesterday, the description, I didn't see it. So as soon as there is a category, even when the title is in a foreign language, as soon as there is description or category, that helps. But we should mention that one of the little problem of categories on Wikimedia Commons is that they are in English. Categories are in English. So if the people do not speak English, that's very complicated for them to add categories. So if they don't speak good English, at least they should pack as much information as possible in the description. and then we can save and do the categories for them. That's number one. The second, they could have composed title with Arabic and English. Yeah, probably they could, but I fear that might be a bit ugly afterwards in the title. So I'm fine with having a title in one language, but then again, balance that with more description in more languages. For example, in my case, often I will put a description in French and English, hoping that people visiting will understand at least one of the two languages. All right, so what can we do? I have prepared some simple and some less simple. First, I would like to point out that we have recorded over the year many trainings. Wiki Loves Africa has been around for 10 years now. I must admit that the first few years we weren't recording training. It happened mostly post-COVID. But since then, we have accumulated quite a few of them. So I dropped the links there. We tried to collate them and identify the ones that were the best ones so that you can watch them afterwards. All of them are available. And in particular, there are three that I would like to point to. There is the Introduction to Image Cleanup and Tagging, which is from last year. There is the 8 things you need to know about Wikimedia Commons category system, which was, I think, done by Ayla this year. And there were events about how to upload files, which included how to put depicts and how to put categories and so on, which was done this year in 4 languages, as far as I can say. So I don't want to spend too much time on things that were already recorded. Just be aware that in most cases for the 101, we have recorded over the years plenty of training that are accessible. So when you anticipate that you're going to participate again to a photo contest, or when you run a group, take the time to look at what the trainings were and maybe watch again together a training session recorded. Anticipate that maybe a couple of weeks before the event itself. That would be my first advice. Couple of other advices. Make sure to update your preferences. And in your preferences, there are 4 gadgets which I recommend to activate. I must say, I don't know which of those are activated by default. So maybe they are by default, but if they are not by default, I recommend you look at them. So there are 4 of them. The number one is simply to have the categories displayed at the top of the article of the page rather than at the bottom. I don't know why not everybody does that, because it makes things so much easier. The other must-have is the hotcat system, which allows you to very quickly add some tags, categories at the top. So categories here at the top rather than at the bottom. And the system that simply allows you to add categories by one click without having to go into the complicated code. So how can you do that? You go to Preferences. There are lots of different preferences, so you might get lost. You go to Gadget. And in the gadget, I left you the links. But for example, here in interface file and category, you have the place categories above all content. And the other ones are below. So do that. You will have to do it only once, but make sure to activate this. For image description, it makes your life way easier. So do that. Then I have another suggestion for people who run groups, but also could be individual. Before you actually do the upload, anticipate and work on the categories. Look at the categories that exist and try to anticipate by creating the categories in advance. Maybe not 3 months in advance, but just the day before might be an idea. So every year depending on the theme, we put a collection of suggestions of categories, but which are general, just make sure that you have the equivalent that fits well for your country. So the screenshot I put here was actually something done by Ndri from Côte d'Ivoire. Ndri simply put for each term the general category and then the associated category for the country. So look at what is available. And if something is missing, make sure to create your own tree system so that when people upload the images, the categories are already available. That helps a lot. This was handed as a document, as a paper to participants to a training session, so they would have them available when they do the upload. That's an idea. And I have a fourth one, which I will definitely consider as an advanced one, so not for the brand new people on Wikimedia Commons, is to anticipate and prepare the templates that you think might be interesting for your groups. So a typical one I consider is the template. The making of that image was supported by Wikimedia, whatever user group. Wikimedia Togo, any type of user group could have this type of template, which makes it displayed in every picture supported by the group. But you need to prepare this template in advance, and then you need to simply indicate the template name to your editor and to show them how to integrate the template in the system. So for example, I linked for you here the category which include all the content supported by Wikimedia France. So they put here the documentation of the template. And if I pick up any type of image, I'm in a category here, I'm not in an image. Any type of an image, I will see here, it's not here, where is it? Can't find it. It's probably because it's a sub category. But in any cases, they anticipate and they put the template that shows that a certain user group supported that project. But this, you need to prepare in advance for your users. All right. So now how can you do, once you have done your homework, and then of course you have thought of your content, you have done your photo walks or created your videos or recorded your audios, then is the time to upload that on Commons. I'm going to repeat myself. Lots of training is already available for the basic of the uploading system. So I'm not going to enter into detail, except if somebody asks me specifically. I wanted to show you a couple of more specific things, and in particular to talk about depicts, because I know it's a sort of a pain point. So I choose the example of how to add depicts and what to do when the depict you want to add is not there. Let's go back to my tractor, my green tractor. So my green tractor, quitting a few things. My green tractor currently doesn't have any depicts. And I'm thinking I could indeed add tractor. If I try to add tractor, automatically it lists myself all the elements which are available on Wikidata, and I can only use elements which already exist on Wikidata. So of course I could use tractor. Maybe this one or maybe this one. I could do that. But I want to be more specific, and I want to at least put it's a John Deere tractor. So when I type John Deere, I have a full list of propositions that shows up. There's the John Deere company, whatever. I could do that. Fun fact, when I put John Deere tractor, what appears is the title of a single. That's a music. So it's very strange that the tractor is actually music. So it's not what I want. So I decided to go to Wikidata. So this is Wikidata. And I decided to look at what is available when I type John Deere. So when I type John Deere, of course, I find a video game series, I can find a company, but I also find that there are some entries already existing about tractor model. For example, there's the John Deere 9630. But this is exactly what I want, except in my case, the tractor I want is the model 5503. So if I were wanting to do that, I would type 5503. There's nothing about 5503, so it's not helping. But there are many others tractor models. So if I put model, I have model A 4020 B C M blah blah. I have 30, 20, 50, 60. So it's something pretty common. It's just my tractor is missing. So in this case, what do I do? Well, I pick one of them, maybe this one, right? This is the entry of this one. I look at what is available here. What does it say? It's not super complicated. There is a label, okay? It says it's an instance of a tractor, and then there is an image, and then there's the name of the manufacturer, the brand, and that's about it, in fact. I could do exactly the same thing. And what I want to do is something that basically looks like this, but it's for my 5503. So I decided to simply create an entry. How do I do that? I go to Wikidata, I remember to log in best, and then I click on create a new item. So I'm going to create one super simple one. I will come back afterwards to improve it. The name of my tractor will be John Deere 5503, right? It's the label of this thing is John Deere 5503, not super complicated, and I create it. What label description? Yep. So I created my entry, and it's asking me a bunch of statements. For now, there's nothing more than the language, the title, and that's it. I'm just going to add one statement to say that it's instance of tractor model. That could be instance of tractor model. Yes. Publish. That's a tractor. And maybe I can also add that it's manufacturer. That seems to be fine. That's manufacturer. Instance of manufacturer. Sure. And in this case, well, it's well, I'll do that afterwards. It's not entirely sure. I want to do it quick and I will fix it afterwards. So I have my John Deere. That's the main thing. So now that it exists, I go back to my faulty tractor and I go to my structured data and I look for my John Deere 5503. And there it goes. It's here, right? So now, even if I go to that farm, maybe I plan to go to that farm. I didn't know which type of tractor I would get, but maybe I took 10 pictures of that tractor and that tractor is here. And now I created the entry. I can put a depict where I say it's a John Deere 5503. I save my thing. And now at least I have one depict that helps. And the depicts, contrary-wise to the category on commons, can be available in any type, I insist, any type of language. So it's language neutral. When I was doing this, I actually discovered, because I was trying yesterday, that guess what? If I put John Deere 5503, there's actually already a picture of it. There's already a picture of the same tractor, and obviously that means there's a category. So I can, on top of that, just pick up my category and also add my category here. John Deere tractor. Here, John Deere 503 series. And that's it. Save. Was I logged? Oh, sorry. Okay. So there you go. In just a few minutes, I could improve the description thanks to my entry on Wikidata. And a Wikidata entry is not something super overly complicated. It mostly needs to look at a similar entry so that you can create something that looks like the original one. Okay, so that's one of the things you could do. What else can you do? Most of the work to improve the description will be done after the upload. During the upload, what you need to really focus on is make sure that the titles are decent. Make sure that the description, the caption at least are decent. Make sure to add categories. That would be a very good start. Now, what can you do after the upload? You can do essentially three things. Either you work as an individual on your own pictures. That could be a good start. Maybe you can do that the week after you upload it would be a good idea. Or you can group together. Maybe you're a group of 3 people, maybe a group of 30 people, but you can have a meeting together and decide together to improve your description. And the benefit of this is that maybe there will be somebody super comfortable with Wikidata and they can create the depicts that you need. And another one will be comfortable with the template and they can add the template. Just team together to work on this. You can also, of course, you know that every year we run an ISA campaign to try to improve the depicts. So you can create an ISA campaign. So there's all these different things. The two advanced one I wanted to mention because most people, I guess, don't know about these things. It's not so simple, so it's not necessary for brand new people. So 2 examples I want to mention. The first thing, we have a task force which is dedicated to improving, to check the images and improve their description afterwards. And I would like to show you this page because I think you might not guess what's in there, but if you're interested, you can join this task force to help. So it's a regular page on Wikimedia Commons, and we do some queries to try to identify images with no category or no description or no country mentioned. So we have a sort of a dashboard system with queries where we try to track that. I set up the page for 2025 just yesterday. So most of the queries on this page are not yet updated compared to last year, but I nevertheless updated a few queries and I'm going to show you 2 of them. The number one is the watermark. You know that some people will upload images with watermark that gets visible, that are visible on the picture. That's acceptable on Commons. Those pictures are accepted, but they have no chance to win a prize, but they are accepted. If these images are tagged with watermark on the description, then we can do a very simple query where we ask the list of Wiki Loves Africa 2025 images with watermark. And I did that query yesterday, so I can show it to you. This is done on a tool which is called PetScan, where you can do such queries. In this case, I am saying I want the query to be done on Wikimedia Commons, and I want to look at all the images which are within 2 categories, one being images with watermark and the other ones being images from Wiki Loves Africa 2025. And when I ran the query yesterday, we had two results. Might be different today, but yesterday it was two results. It's still two results. So if I look at one of such image, you can see here, there is this very, not super visible, but definitely here, watermark in white that appears. And the reason why we know that there is a watermark is because somebody added a template to say, there's a digital visible watermarking on this image. And when they put this, it automatically adds a category saying there's a digital watermark here. And then we can do queries on them. We can do queries on watermark. We can do queries on videos. We can do queries on many things as long as somebody took the time to tag them as such. So in this case, the query is about watermark, but it could be about many other things. So let me show you another example of what we can do with these queries. We can identify what are the current images of Wiki Loves Africa being currently listed for deletion because somebody listed them for deletion. So yesterday, same thing. We do the queries on Commons and we do the intersection of, I did the same one. I did a wrong copy paste. I need to fix that. We can similarly do a query on, I can show you from last year quickly. Before you go to last year. So that was the query from last year. I'm going to change that with 25, run it. And currently we have 20 images listed for deletion. And we can do that in one click as long as we have the category being mentioned. So that's immensely useful for us. And when we click on the image, we can find a reason why it's nominated for deletion. The other example I wanted to show, because it's a very typical, it's the importance of mentioning the country. If the country is not listed, we can similarly do queries to identify the images or without any country mentioned. So this is if you are a little bit interested in manipulating data and queries. It's not super complicated. I'm not a developer myself. I understand how it works. Just need a little bit of time to understand. This is something you can help with if you're interested by the image descriptions topic. And the last one is the least known of all. And believe me, it took me a couple of years to discover it. I think it's because it's a little bit not mentioned to avoid people using it. I need to indicate that not everyone can use this tool. You need to be at least auto-confirmed to have access to it. So not everyone can, but for those who are comfortable using it and have the right, it's pretty cool. So that tool is called Visual File Change. That's something that you activate in your preferences. Then once you have it activated, you will, I found it, the Taraba. When you have it activated, you can find it here in your menu. It's called Perform Batch Task. What does it do? It allows you to change super quickly a collection of images in terms of categories description. So you can do queries on them. Imagine all these images were uploaded as part of the contest, and all of them were put in that category, which is not an official maintenance category of the contest. And so one of my big questions when I find this big category with currently 516 images, my big question is, are those images also part of the general maintenance category, or are they out of them? You might think it's a detail, but every single year I find on average between 2 and 3,000 of images are uploaded as part of Wiki Loves Africa, but not using the upload funnel, which means they are not counted in the right categories. So every single year I somehow retrieve up to 3,000 images which are not in the right category. Obviously, I cannot do that by hand. So how do I do it? I do a very short demo for you. I pick up the name of the category and I'm going to do a search on this category. And I do that by going to my perform batch task. Here I can select images either from a query or from a username, like images produced by Booba. And I can do by a page or I can do by a category. So in this case, I will pick up this category and I do proceed. And this lists me all the images by batch of 30 images within that category. And then I can do a search to indicate all those pictures listed in Wiki Loves Africa picture. So images from Wiki Loves Africa 2025. That's it. I apply and look at what appears. Part of the images are in blue and part of them are in white. The one in blue means they are rightfully in the maintenance category. All the one in white, they are not in the maintenance category. So those are the one I call lost souls, which every year I need to save from somewhere. So in this case, the general group is 50 and you see 24 images. Half of them are actually not in the right category. This type of situation in particular happen in Nigeria because people try to identify the pictures coming from their group. And when they do that, sometimes it hurts a little bit the process. So what do I do when I have this? I simply do an invert selection. So that means I select all the ones which are not properly tagged. And then I will not nominate them for deletion. I will prepend a text. And for example, that text might be adding them into the general template Wiki Loves Africa 2025. And I also know that these pictures are from Nigeria. So I will say images from Wiki Loves Africa 2025 in Nigeria. So I put my thing and then I click on execute, and automatically all my images will be updated. If I check my contribution, you see that for every single of these images, just a few seconds ago, I added the right tagging that is necessary for the image. So now the image is properly within the right categories. Every single year, about 3,000 images lost or retrieved using that tool. So perform batch task. As soon as you feel comfortable using Commons, as soon as you feel confident about what you can do, and as soon as you can technically use that tool, I invite you to do so, because this is a game changer. When you made a mistake in terms of description, title, you can change a lot of things using this tool.